G'day, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Moon Willow and I'm a storyteller, and I storytell with crystals and cards, and I have my blue dragon in the background watching over. My desire today is to do a daily reading, and just for trying to pick out the energies that are going off in the world at the moment for all of us. So I would like whoever's watching this, because the energies work weirdly, that even if you're not watching this live, pre-recording it, that will actually have an influence on the reading itself. And my storytelling will end up being an amalgamation of everything that's sort of coming in. We have got a very weird world at the moment, and that will affect the way that I perceive the cards and how that influences the way that I want to tell this story to you all. So I'm going to start with my handy bag of crystals, and just if you all focus in on what we need to know today, where we might be sort of feeling a little bit ungrounded or unstuck. And I've pulled out green Aventurine, which to me relates to the heart chakra. The heart chakra has two crystals aligned to it, because it's about, you have self-love and then you have unconditional love with what's going off in the world and how we interact and interface with other people. So for me, green Aventurine is about how we love ourselves, how we feel based in our own energies, how we are when things come up for us, because they invariably do. We end up having different thought processes that feel uncomfortable, and it's very difficult to remember that at the times when we made decisions in the past, or we chose to do things that doesn't fit with who we are today, because we're always changing, that it's learning how to just integrate that and learn how to love unconditionally ourselves within that. So now I'm going to shuffle the cards. These are cards that I got many years ago. They're a deck by someone called Titania. I will double check that, because I'm not very sure. I've been using these cards for about 20 odd years. Me and linear time don't work very well on a regular basis, so I'm just going to focus in on them and shuffle. And then I'm going to split them, because that feels right. And really muck them up and see what comes through. So I feel that 3 cards today is appropriate. So we've got 3 cards that, so we're starting off with a ring. That's about partnership, but in relation to the way that I'm actually feeling this card at the moment, especially with pulling out the green Aventurine, to me it isn't about loving or having a partnership necessarily with somebody else, though I'm sure there's people out there listening that actually that resonates, that aspect of it resonates for you. But what I'm actually getting through at the moment is having and learning how to have a partnership with ourselves in our heart chakra. And as I say, that there are things that we've done, and I've done many things in my past that don't sit comfortably with me at the moment. And it's learning how to integrate that in my heart space, so that I have a partnership with myself in moving forward, how I want to move forward in the universe, because I can't go back and change the past, although on a quantum level that may be possible, but I won't get into that because that's just confusing. So yeah, so Green Aventurine is around sort of feeling comfortable with yourself, how you actually interact with yourself. And I think this card for me at the moment is saying that it is about having a partnership with how you are in relationship to yourself and the world. Also, how in this current circumstances and time, how we have a partnership with others, how we relate from our heart space, how we actually can connect with others in a loving way, learning to understand that they're seeing the world from their space as much as we're seeing the world from our space. And we all create stories, we all narrate our own story and how that impacts. And I find over the years that how I find or how I experience others is very much based on my background, my childhood, where I've come from, the fact that I'm Australian, living in a strange land, even though it's 32 years. I still get caught out at times, people don't understand. So it's learning to have that partnership with self so that you can feel authentic in everything that you do with others, in how you communicate with others along the way. The second card that's come out is letters. And this is about pieces of information that hasn't come through yet, that it's we're waiting on something that... and I felt this a lot recently in my own world, that I have this sense that I haven't got all the information yet, that there's still something waiting to come in, and I'm going to have that aha moment within that. And that is, especially when it's linked with the ring as well, and having that partnership, that these things that keep coming up, it's like we keep having cycles, we keep going around in this sort of cyclic movement, and we feel like we've been there before. Why am I having to do this again? I thought I sifted this through. I thought I'd actually got through it all. And in that, there is a thought, or we come across someone who inadvertently says a particular phrase that reminds us, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. I'm able to shift that through and go forward to the next step, and go forward in a way that is making more sense. So I think that brings into the male card. And in this, I'm not perceiving that as a male person. As I say, this is not an individual reading, so consequently, or individual storytelling. So it may actually be for some people that it is literally that a male or a partner in your life is going to take it to the next level, or you're wondering what was going to happen, and they're going to receive a piece of information to move forward. It can be read in that particular way, but my sense for today is it's about the masculine energy that we have in ourselves, the feminine and the masculine, and how do we integrate that. There is a lot going off out there. A lot of people are talking about reclaiming the divine feminine, and also the masculine aspects of ourselves. And men, they need to be able to be heard, to actually be understood. And that's going back again into the Green Aventurine, that it is about that integration of self, of integrating those two sides. We've lived for a long time in a very logical and a very masculine world, and that has meant that we've had to suppress our emotions and how we feel about things, and we have that disharmony. We're not able to integrate in our heart chakra. So this is what this reading is saying to me, is that it is that partnership, that internal connection, understanding that the logical side, the masculine side, has been very important in how we get through the world, especially with all the information that's coming through that's so conflicting that it just doesn't make sense on that logical level. But if we bring it into our heart space, into how we feel and sense, although it might not make sense on a logical level, it actually might resonate and feel better for ourselves in our heart, that we are actually able to go, okay, it goes back almost to the thing I was saying about being Australian, that if somebody understands where I come from, who I am, then they hopefully be able to meet me better in actually understanding that the way that I see the world, the way that my logic works is going to be slightly different because of the way that I was brought up. And I think that happens a lot, is that we get so polarized out there that it's one thing's right, one thing's wrong, and it's like there can be no middle ground, there can be no partnership. And I think that's very much where we need to go from a heart space, is that we need to work out how we can communicate with each other, that we can understand that each person's truth is their truth and that is okay, but it's all right to have that difference, and we can work out how to meet, to have that partnership with others that doesn't hurt us, that we can actually feel safe and secure within that, to be able to move forward as a collective, as we can actually see how we're going through. And it's like, as more information's coming through on so many different levels, whether that be sort of whether you're understanding of sort of the 3D, 5D perspective of whether this is or not in regards to all the current situation at the moment, that as each different piece comes in, it almost makes our brain, our logical, our masculine self make less sense in a way, because it's like, I've grasped that, I understand that, but then something else comes in and knocks that off, and we can actually feel really concerned and worried and sick, almost feel quite nauseous around how that's impacting how we feel in the world and how unclear or uncertain we feel in the world. So for me, this reading is about coming into our heart space, learning how to feel unconditional love for ourselves, how we hold ourselves, that even if this information comes in that actually affects our logical mind, if we bring it into our heart to make sense, that we can actually have that partnership with ourselves and learn how to have a partnership outside with other people, so that we can actually relate as human beings with less conflict, really. So I hope that this storytelling, and it is for me storytelling, because it is, each one of us has a story that needs to be shared, or we'd like to share, that makes sense to us, that we create our own stories to actually understand and make sense of what we're living in at the moment, or all the way through our lives, in my case 50 years, and just help give in that little bit more insight. It's almost like that I'm the letters in reading for you, or in telling you a story, that something might go ping, and it's like have an aha moment of, oh, okay, that makes sense now. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading and storytelling. My dragon certainly has in the background, although he looks like he's almost asleep. There's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. Within this as well, I get sounds come through on a daily basis as well. Well, they always come through. So I'd like to finish this daily storytelling, Here Be Dragons, by a little bit of vocalization for you all. Thank you for listening. Love you all. Bye.